Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're taking a look at Hydrapple EX with Meganium. This is a list that I've obviously hinted at that I wanted to play, and well, it's been quite fun, but Joe forgot to put a Tapu Bulu in, or any way to deal with a cornerstone, so Joe had to do some swinging, to say the least, but well, we all learned from that. That's why there's now a Tapu Bulu in this list. So before we go any further, as per normal, in the description below there'll be the usual links to the timestamps. There'll be the deck list, which is also available to copy in the description below, with a Tapu Bulu in it, because trust me, you need it. There'll also be the games that we'll play, and the outro and what I think of the deck. So of course, our main focus today is going to be Hydrapple EX. This is a 330 HP Stage 2 Pokemon, 2 prize Pokemon of course, and its ability Ripening Charge is actually pretty good. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic Grass Energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. If you attach an energy to a Pokemon in this way, heal 30 damage from that Pokemon. Essentially, that is our answer to sort of like Dragapult's damage counters. And obviously that does increase the damage of Syrup Storm, which for 30 plus, well, for 2 colorless energy, 30 plus damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each Grass Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So in other words, Teal Mask is going to be carrying some weight in this deck. That's why we're going to be playing 4 Teal Mask Ogerpon. Of course, it wouldn't be a Meganium deck without the Meganium itself. We do of course have Wild Growth, which does give us the 2 grass instead of 1. Obviously, it's only 4 basic grass energy. And well, originally I played no answer to a Cornerstone in this list, and the first deck I ran into was a Walls deck with Cornerstone, so that was fun, but yeah, that was not exactly fun, so I've had to tech in Tapu Bulu. You can put a Regigigas in here, it's a bit more versatile, but, well, I've used Regigigas before. I've not used Tapu Bulu before, so you're going to have some spice, right? So for what is effectively 2 grass energy, Wood Hammer does 220 damage, and also does 30 to itself. Now, of course, if Cornerstone has a Hero Escape on it, this one-shots it because it is grass weak. So we at least have that versatility. Obviously, if it had Lively Stadium plus Hero Escape, Regigigas would actually fall. In fact, no, does it fall? It does fall short by 10. So it would technically matter. So just to counter the Cornerstones, I'm going to be playing a Tapu Bulu. You can put a Regigigas in this list, and it's probably better. But personally, I think Tapu Bulu will do us just fine today. And then obviously we have the Dipplin with the coated attack. This is a pretty useful attack to have. And of course it prevents all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. The attack is very crap in terms of damage output, but it is more than enough to potentially wall off some Pokemon. And well, I want to see the brain cells of Raging Bolt player, the 2 of them that is. The 2 brain cells of a Raging Bolt player trying to figure this out. Spoiler alert, they just attack with Noctowl, but well, let's be real, most of them probably wouldn't figure that out. But yeah, this is a very fun list. I've been really enjoying it. Like I say, other than the Walls matchup, which is why I've put in a Tapu Bulu, just to help counter. And plus, it's a very good single prizer anyway, just to have in the deck. And it can potentially take out Fez, Mew, Teal Mask Ogerpons, Cornerstones, Wellsprings, etc. So it has a lot of versatility. So that's sort of why I wanted to include it in the list. Anyway, let's go to the deck list, and let's have a look. And welcome to the deck list. So, as I said, this is a list that originally didn't have an answer to a Cornerstone. And of course, naturally, the first match I ran into was a Cornerstone. Now, I know some are going to say Mew is an answer. Yes, but it's only half the answer. And plus, if they have Lively Stadium, Hero Escape, you're going to be there for a while plinking with Mew. And if they have Monkey Dories, that just makes the job a whole lot harder. So, Tapu Bulu is in here to deal with that. So of course we're playing 4 Teal Mask Ogerpon, 3 Applin, 2 Dipplin, 2 Hydrapple EX, 2 Chikorita, 2 Bayleef, 2 Meganium, 1 Fez, 1 Mew, 1 Tapu Bulu. Then of course 4 Lillies, 4 Iono, 3 Boss, because we do want to get aggressive in this list, 1 Researchers for extra added draw, 4 Bug Catching Set, 3 Ultra Ball, 1 Buddy-Buddy Poffin, 1 Night Stretcher, 1 Superior Energy Retrieval, 1 Super Rod, 1 Earthen Vessel, 1 Counter Catcher, 1 Max Rod, 1 Air Balloon, 3 Forest of Vitality, and 10 Grass Energy. So I will say, I think you could bump up the grass count to at least 11 or 12. Obviously, I'm playing a higher count of Gust than is normal in a Hydrapple list. I typically play 2 boss and a counter catcher. I played 3. This is mainly due to the fact that obviously we're going to be going through our deck with a lot of stuff. We're going to be Ultra Balling stuff. You know, it's one of those things that, like, could come up. So I thought I'll play 3 boss just to get around that. A couple of cards to consider in this list for starters, because obviously I do like to try and suggest some cards in here. Obviously, I'm not going to make the cuts now, because that's not fair. But also, 2, these are just ideas that you could try. So, one of my first suggestions will be a Jack. A Jack is a really good card in these grass evolving decks right now with Forest of Vitality. Because obviously it means you can Jack for Bayleef Meganium, Dipplin Hydrapple, etc. And you can get going a lot sooner. Because obviously our only searches are Bug Catching Set, which is the top 7, and Ultra Ball, which requires a discard of 2. So I think putting a Jack in here would be pretty useful. You could probably cut an Ultra Ball for that, or the Buddy Poffin. Otherwise, there isn't really a huge amount to consider. Obviously, there's the Regigigas, which I've already mentioned, but if the Walls deck is playing Heroescape plus Lively Stadium, that could be an issue, so that's why the Tapu Bulu is preferred. Other than that, really, there's not a whole lot to think about with this list. Like, the recovery is fine. I would say the Super Rod could be cut, because obviously we do have Max Rod, which does basically the same thing, but puts it in our hand. Which, because we're playing Forest of Vitality, that's probably better. The only other thing is when the Genesect comes out for the new set. Obviously, it's not out yet. I think it's up here. 1 second. It's... where is it? Here. This could be a consideration for the deck as well, with its Bug Cannon attack. It does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each Grass Energy attached to this Pokemon. Obviously, with Meganium in play, for just 1 Grass Energy, you're doing 40 damage. For 2, with Hydrapples attached, you're doing 80, and just sniping Pokemon if you can. And it also does have a second attack, which can do some work as well if you just don't want to use Bug Cannon attack. It does have speed attack for 110, which would only need 2 Grass attached. But honestly, there's a lot of consideration with this list going forward, and to be honest, this deck doesn't really need to change much. I think Hydrapple's the best way to play Grass Box right now, and I'm going to stand by that. I don't think Venusaur's all that hot, personally. Obviously, Hydrapple does have to deal with the Megas, but it can deal with the Megas quite well. So yeah, hopefully we get some good games. But anyway, I'm going to hop into the games, and let's see how we do. And welcome to the first game. I'm looking forward to seeing how this deck does, now that I've added in a Tapu Bulu. Oh, let's see how we do. Sorry if I sound a little bit out of breath, I just had to go and put the bin out because I forgot to do it last night. It's fine. But yeah, this deck looks pretty fun to me. And well, now that we've added in a Cornerstone answer, we should be completely fine. Mew start, that's completely fine with me. I'll take that. And a Mully. Ooh, it's Mamoswine, which is Grass Weak. I'm sorry, buddy. I love you, but you're not standing a chance in this matchup. I'll take that. Are we going first or second? Going second, okay. That's fine. The Quaxwell is, or the Quaquaval is interesting. This is a build that I've not tried of Mamoswine. I'm of the belief that the Pidgeot well, not the Cornerstone, the Pidgeot Blaziken is a better build, but because you know you have the Fire type coverage for dealing with grass decks with the Blaziken, you have the Pidgeot to search your stuff out. Lightning Energy, interesting. Okay, let's get started. So, Buddy Poffin, grab ourselves another Applin and a Chikorita. Did notice we prized a Applin, but that's fine. We'll Bug Catching Set, grab you two. We can get the Teal Mass down and start getting energy into play. So we'll do that with Teal Dance. Water Ball's pretty good. It is tempting. Let's go for that. We can get rid of a Hydrapple and a Grass. We want the Dipplins, just in case. We can grab ourselves another Chikorita in case it gets gusted, but I think it's correct to grab another Ogerpon. And then Teal Dance again. We can attach to the Applin. Get value off of the Mew. They didn't really do a lot. Like, obviously they are going first, so, you know, I don't really want to give them anything, so I'm just going to Lilies. I tried to build this list as consistently as possible. We'll pass there. I'm not really afraid of a rare candy into Mamoswine, because obviously they need to get energy onto it. Now, if they played Neo Upper, which I don't think is the correct A-spec for Mamoswine, that's entirely different. We'll know by what they grab off this Ultra Ball. And there we are, Quaquaval. There's an Arvin. Probably going to grab a Candy, I would imagine. Candy and Big Air Balloon, fair enough. Rare Candy into Quaquaval. I gotta remember what you do. You must put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck in order to use ability. Once during your turn, you may draw until you have 5 cards in hand. That's not bad, actually. That's drawing 4. That's pretty good. Like, it is a draw engine, and obviously it is a stage 2. So that generally is not bad at all. Obviously, this is really unfavored for my opponent, because obviously it is one of those that, you know, we're hitting them for grass weeks. But, well, grass weakness, but still. They get the water attachment onto the Quaquaval. If we get what we need, we could boss that. I'm not afraid of the, what's coming up. I'm just going to take 2 grass off of this one. Bug Catching Set. We can take the Dipplin and Meganium. Bug Catching Set. We can grab the Hydrapple and the Bayleef. That is a cracked start. We just need the Forest now. So see if we can draw into one. If not, we're just going to have to manually evolve, and that's fine. I don't mind waiting a turn. And looks like we're doing it the old-fashioned way. But again, I'm fine with that. We can even go aggressive and boss this. And I think we will. So we'll retreat into the Ogerpon, boss the Quaquaval, and Myriad Leaf Shower for the knockout, taking a single prize. Interesting to see Lightning Energy. I'm not sure what that's for, but I would imagine maybe for the Luxray. But wouldn't Reversal Energy just be better, is my thought process. His only option here now is to obviously Iono and use Call for Family. Yeah. As soon as I predicted it. Obviously, we did have to wait a bit on our evolutions, but that's completely fine. Especially when we get a Night Stretcher. That's pretty good. Artisan, Body Poffin. Man's cracking off. That's good. That's what we want to see. We want an actual battle. This is unfavored for my opponent, as I said. But, nope, he's just going to concede. Poor guy. Sorry, Mamoswine. I love you and all, but against grass decks, which are becoming more and more common, you're just not very good. So, let's go to a game 2. And welcome to game 2. That went pretty smoothly against the Mamoswine deck there. Having the options that we did, and obviously the draw. Obviously, we didn't find our Forest of Vitality, but that's honestly not a big deal. Like, genuinely, we was just able to just go Dipplin, Bayleef, and just not be phased at all. We was even able to free retreat into the Teal Mask, Teal Dance to it, and obviously attach to it, and then boss the Quaquaval for the knockout, which is pretty nice. So we did get to do something there, at least. Alright. And the Teal Mask Ogerpon start, we will not complain with. That's kind of why we'll play 4 of them. I don't mind starting Teal Mask at all. It's a really good attacker in the early stages, whilst we're setting up our big Hydrapples. Ends Doromarka, so we're facing another Grass Wheat deck. That's fine with me, Chief. So we'll take you, and we will take... Actually, it's going to be a bit harder to find a Bayleef, so I'm going to do that. Another Bug Catching Set. We'll take Chikorita and the Meganium. Another Bug Catching Set. We'll take an Applin and a Teal Mask. You can't ask for a better start, is all I'll say, folks. So now we'll bench the boys. Teal Dance. To the Ogerpon. Teal Dance. And just a straight concession. Oh dear. Well, that's technically a game 2. Obviously, that'll be in the timestamps. But yeah, my opponent did not want to deal with that explosive of a start. Let's go to a game 3. And welcome back. That did not seem to, shall we say, that That didn't exactly make my opponent very happy now, did it? We also got a rank increase to Corviknight rank. That went pretty smoothly. I mean, we had a really explosive start, getting triple bug catching set. Like, that was pretty good. Really good start. We will call Tails this time. And we get the Tails. We will go first. If we're getting explosive starts like that, we might as well, you know. That's actually not a bad start, minus the fact we have no grass energy. We'll start the Teal Mask, it's the bulkiest of the lot. And judging by the sleeves, we're probably facing Guardy, which could be tough. This could be a toughie. But we don't need to get grass down immediately. That's one of the nice things about these lists, is we don't have to. Oh, okay, this is going to be tough. That's an Iron Thorns. Okay, so Ultra Ball, Super Rod, Buddy Poffin. Right, so this is going to be tough because of that Iron Thorns. Our Tapu Bulu falls 10 short. We could use this, though, in this matchup. So I'm going to grab it. So I'm going to do that, pass. The Dipplin will be very useful in this matchup because they only play basic Pokemon. I don't mind plinking them. Genuinely, I don't mind plinking them. If they want to Iono away the Dipplin, they can. I'm not hugely forced. But we have a distinct advantage in this matchup. That doesn't bother me. Crispin, okay, that's fine. Do they play Dark Energy? That's what I need to know. I need to know if they play Dark Energy. Because if they do, this is useless. They do play Dark Energy. Bugger. Could this be Dragapult Iron Thorns by any chance, actually? Well, we can evolve you. Bench you. Iono. I suspect this is Dragapult Iron Thorns. And if it is, 1, that's a little bit outdated, my friend. But 2, this could get interesting. So we'll take the Applin and Meganium. We could take Hydrapple as well, actually, but it's fine. I'd rather set up a second Apple. I will just pass. I suspect I am correct with this. I think this is Dragapult Iron Thorns. Because I've seen Fire Energy. They don't play normally. They don't normally play Fire Energy unless it's, you know, unless it's Dragapult Iron Thorns. But then again, they did lose double turbo during rotation, so I've not faced an Iron Thorns list in so long, so that's probably why my mind's a bit, you know. So, I've got to remember what this card does. Pokemon with rule box in play, both yours and your opponents have no abilities, so Meganium still has an ability. Good. Another Crispin. Okay, that's fine. They're going to get an attack in. They only need 1 lightning energy anyway, but that's a fire energy. They're probably going to put a dark on the active. It doesn't, like I say, it doesn't really matter what they have because, like, they can attack anyway. But no, they've even got the nice energies, so I'm going to respect them for that. Then they're going to move an energy off, put it on the Iron Thorns. Alright. This is going to be a bit of a slow game, I think, but I can deal with that. So we'll attach to you and Liz. Okay, that's not too bad. We can go Bug Catching Set for the Bayleef and the Hydrapple. Bug Catching Set again. Can get you down. Can get the Hydrapple down as well. How much damage are we doing? We're doing like 90 damage, I think. It's worth retreating into the Applin, I think, here. We can sacrifice the apple. They seem to be playing a lot of Crispin for turn, but obviously now they can afford to play a boss. If they do, we deal with it. It's not the end of the world. And they do have the boss, so they're probably going to take out the Teal Mask. No, they're taking out the Bayleef. Okay. Interesting decision there. That's not what I would have gone for. The MEG is a problematic Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it's not... It only helps half the story, so to speak. Alright, so we're doing 30, 60, 90 120. We can two-shot this, but that feels bad. Does feel kind of bad, but they have to four-shot us, which is pretty nice. So we'll do that. We'll attach to the Hydrapple. Ultra Ball away Teal Mask and the boss, because we're going to Lilies for turn. We don't have any more Chikoritas, but that's okay. I don't have another Dipplin neither, but that's fine. No point grabbing Tapu Bulu here. So I think, just to thin the deck out, I'm just going to grab a Hydrapple. Less chance of me drawing into it, in theory, but in actuality, no. Okay, there's a Night Stretcher. That's going to be pretty useful. We can get back to Chikorita. We can then Bug Catching Set. We'll just take the Grass Energy. So we're doing 120 damage. That is fine, Chief. He can attach Future Booster Energy Capsule and retreat this one. I think it's correct to attack the one with free energy. So we'll counter catch that and Syrup Storm. It doesn't hugely matter, but like we're putting damage on the one that can attack. This one can't unless it gets a turn attachment. They're not always going to have it. Crushing Hammer, that's fine. Do lose that, that's unfortunate, but we do have hand attachments, and that's not the end of the world. And obviously we can potentially get Chikorita, Meganium re-established. Penny, that's very annoying. Obviously if we can get the Meganium established, we can potentially do something here. He can obviously now a turn attachment to the Iron Thorns and get that going. Really interesting to see an Iron Thorns deck. You don't see that very often. But we are playing around it pretty smoothly. Alright. Let's see what we get off the top. It's not particularly great, but we do at least get what we need. And then we'll Iono. We do lose, obviously, our Meganium, but we can potentially find it again. Okay, there's Max Rod. Max Rod doesn't fix anything for us. So we're just going to hit the 120. So not much we can do at this point, unfortunately, folks. It's a matchup that, you know, he needs turn attachments chain after chain after chain. So if he keeps pennying, he's not going to get very far. There's not a lot he can really do if we're constantly aggressive with our Hydrapple. He has to Crispin for turn. Because then he's setting up multiple Iron Thorns in a turn. Devo, that's a problem. That's a real problem now. We can Max Rod and get this back. Devo Boss, that's even worse. Yeah, this is a problem. He's going to Devo the Hydrapple. Yeah, this is a real problem. That's for next turn, I would imagine. That's a real problem. We do at least get the Hydrapple back to hand at the very least, but no, this is a really shaky matchup. Like I said, the problem is we can't accelerate energy into play. We have no way to do so. So now we'll Max Rod. Get the boys back. Bench. Immediately evolve. And immediately evolve. Same with you. Attach the Hydrapple. I can boss the other one, but it's highly likely as a Crispin in hand. I think it's correct to Lilies here, though, personally. Because obviously we can't accelerate energy to our Ogerpons. That's the main thing. Pass. This is a really bad matchup, genuinely. This is so bad. But this is the thing. Who is playing Iron Thorns in 2025, genuinely? Like, this is crazy. Judge, that's fine. Let's Tapu Bulu, but obviously that won't come into play in this matchup. This is really tough. Like, genuinely, this is not an easy matchup. And Volt Cyclone for 140. He has game on board, pretty much. He can just knock these out with boss and stuff like that. And there's not really much I can do about it. I could attach to the Teal Mask, but I think it's just correct to attach to the Hydrapple and pass. There is not a lot we can do in this matchup, I'm afraid, folks. It's a matchup that, as I said, because we have no way to get energy into play consistently, we just fall short by quite a considerable margin. Energy Search, so he's got the attack to take out the Teal Mask. He is struggling for energy attachments though, like he is finding energy, but obviously he is going to potentially lose his, excuse me, he's potentially going to lose his stuff later. How much Gust is in that list, man? I've seen new boss and freaking thingy, like bro. Team Rocket's Watchtower doesn't bother us. We need to take out this Iron Thorns in the active though, like we need to start taking prizes. We've just got to hope he doesn't have boss for game. That's literally our copium here. But it's highly likely he's going to be playing quad boss. It's what I would do if I was playing Iron Thorns. But still, like I said, who is playing Iron Thorns in 2025? Genuinely, who is playing Iron Thorns? Now, if we get Meganium off the top, we can boss the fresh one. But obviously he's got 8 cards in hand. It's highly likely he has Gust for game. There's a Vessel that at least gets us some draw. Well, I say draw. It does thin the deck. So now we attach here. We're doing 150. And let's just see if he's got it. Take out the Iron Thorns. He's probably got Gust for game. And judging by the emoji there, he does. Show me the boss. I said, show me the boss. Wait, he can play that? Okay, sure. I thought it needed another bench Pokemon, but he has the Gust, he has the Prime Catcher for game. Very unfortunate. He did BM slightly, but, well, that's just most players these days. Very unfortunate, but like I said, there's not a lot you can do when you run into a deck that you don't really expect to see. But not a bad result for Hydrapple overall, at the very least. It had 2 wins, technically speaking. Obviously, one of them wasn't really a full win, but yeah, this is definitely a deck that like has a lot of potential. And like I said, if you don't run into Iron Thorns, you will stomp anything. Let's put it that way. But yeah. So what do I think to the deck? This deck does have, as I said, a lot of potential. It definitely does feel like it's the best way to play a Grass Box deck. Obviously, if you run into Iron Thorns, that is a very different scenario. But to be fair, Venusaur is also bugged in that case. But you get the gist. Like, it's one of those things that, because we got our Bayleef gusted so early, we didn't really have a chance to start one-shotting the Iron Thorns. So that was one thing that really plagued us in that matchup as well, is we couldn't get a Meganium established. We'd only need 3 energy in play to one-shot an Iron Thorns, without a Bravery Charm, that is. And because we couldn't get it established, we just couldn't really do a lot. But the fact is that this deck does have a lot of turbo potential, but obviously when it comes to a deck that completely shuts you off, as with most decks to be honest, it can be quite choresome. But I would still recommend playing Hydrapple over Mega Venusaur. I think it's the superior way to play a grass deck at the minute. And like I said, the Dipplin that does 20 damage and obviously does that. The only reason why we didn't use it in that matchup is because obviously he had plenty of Gust. And also the fact that we needed to, you know, have Pokemon on the bench. But also, I didn't know if he was playing Monkey Dory. So if he was playing Monkey Dory, we'd be especially screwed. But still, it's one of those matchups that we have technically a tech for it. But if we're not sure if they're playing Monkey Dories and stuff like that, we don't really want to take that risk. But anyway, I'm going to leave it all to it for today. I really hope you enjoyed seeing Hydrapple EX in action. And I'll see you next time.